his thing, and most most are really paying attention to the works, but really enjoy watching him after his works, how quickly he shuts off and just drops his head and comes home, and it gives you a good feeling that he's becoming very professional about this. So it bodes well.
Yeah,
it's a big part of it.
Right.
With his pedigree and from the time he won his debut, how far ahead have you been thinking and planning with him? I mean, there's short-term planning, and then there's long-term planning.
And then there's dreaming.
And then there's dreaming,
Yeah.
yes.
Brad early on said that when we decided to run him 3/4 up here, he said, we got to get him going here. He's just showing me that he's ready to run, but not too sure about this 3/4, but I'm very sure about 2 turns. So let's get this 3/4 mile race under our belt, and then as we go look for something longer, I think you're going to see the potential we're seeing in the morning. So to see him accomplish what he did, going 3/4, getting in all that trouble, pulling him out and finishing up as quickly as he did in a pretty racehorse time, we were always thinking about that 2-turn mile of 16th, and obviously just so happened the futurity was right around the corner, and he was showing that kind of quality. So to answer your question, it was pretty early.
So when does the dreaming start kicking in?
I'd say after the Breeders' Futurity, you knew you were playing in the upper end of this of all the 2-year-olds, and it's just gone from strength to strength, really. Obviously, one of the more interesting things, and in all 5 races, he's probably shown versatility in all 5 races, from being in trouble to being close to the pace to coming from off the pace to running in a sloppy racetrack. Adaptability and versatility is a real key, especially when you're getting ready to look at a 20-horse field, and how things. The Derby's the Derby, and you would like to think you have a horse that does not have to have things his own way, and that he's shown versatility, which is a major key.
And he's still lightly raced, which is that working in his favor now?
Yeah. I mean, it's just again, very shortly after the Breeders' Cup, Brad said, very quickly, 2 races I have in mind, and those are the 2 he ran in, and so far so good.
What are your impressions of Brad as a trainer? What standout characteristics the time you spent with him?
Well, he's a very, very focused. I think horses is all he thinks about. I'm not so sure he doesn't have a photographic memory. I mean, he is so quick with what his horses are doing, what other horses are doing, other races, who's winning, what kind of racing styles they have, how that compares with his own. So always very well prepared and very, very knowledgeable. And I think he really knows where to place his horses. I mean, from the very good ones to the ones that fallen under expectations. So he's completely absorbed with it.
Is that from the outside looking in before you guys started putting horses with him? Could you see those things?
You could see some of those things, but that probably goes back further to maybe what I spoke about earlier, is that we were stepping back, seeing our racing stable was growing in numbers. Not all of them are New York bound, although you wished it. The reality is they're not. There's a gaping hole in the Midwest, and that's where Brendan Walsh came on board, and obviously Brad, and we're looking to really get into the fairgrounds and have some horses at Oaklawn, and then really wanted to support the Kentucky racing circuit, and obviously it's improving, and want to be a part of that as well. And certainly those 2 guys played a big factor in filling that gap. So from a geographic spread, that really made a lot of sense. And obviously Mike Stidham's been on board and sort of fills in that as well a little more. So it's been super, and I think I was checking with somebody, I think we ran at some 30 racetracks last year. So we've expanded a little bit where they run. And they, the important thing is to obviously not all horses are created equal, and if you find where they can be competitive, that's the right place for them, and they can still climb the ladder from whenever.
You got a sense on essential quality from the early going. I mean, the way he won his maiden race, it was almost like he had that get the hell out of the way, I'm coming through look about him. And then in the Breeders' Futurity, when he's with Luis for the first time, gets himself smartly positioned on the outside of that first turn to where he was really in a perfect position.
Catbird seat.
Yeah. Does that show you the smarts in the horse, or is that as much You know, in the case of Luis on that second ride,
I think it's a team effort, and I think that again, I think both the jockey and the horse are versatile. You know, sometimes people get pigeonholed as a turf rider or pace rider or this, that, and the other.
Right.
And to Louis' credit, has never panicked, always had him in a position, and I think he has this feel. I asked him in the bluegrass, I said, how worried were you turning for home? He said, I really wasn't, because he says I could feel what I still had, and as you know, he just maybe tapped him twice turning for home or down the lane, and was a very strong hand ride all the way down the stretch. So to his credit, I think he has a very good feel of what he has beneath him at all times, and good horses. He's done a great job of keeping him out of trouble, even though in his first race, just being a first race, got into a little bit of trouble down the inside, and that again gets back to that versatility.
Is there an instinct about this horse that just says that there's a I don't know, it's easy to say will to win, but is there something instinctive about him that feels he's got to get in the clear and find a spot?
Well, I think the will to win is probably correct, and at the 16th pole in the bluegrass, that was the will to win, where he just listen, the other horse had winning on his mind as much. That was a dog fight. I think it was a great race for him to sort of get that sort of. Sometimes you get punched in the nose, and how you're going to respond to it. And I think he showed that determination that you need to have to, really get down in those close races. When you're getting into these top horses, they're going to be more dog fights to come.